Welcome back to Unsolved Mysteries, JonBenet's WebbTRUTHS. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates. While I am preparing episodes for our second season here on YouTube, which I promise will have at least 6 incredibly informative, power-packed episodes, there is a fairly well-known suspect that people continue to speculate about frequently that I believe needs to be addressed. This suspect is probably most well known for being featured on the AD or ArmChair Detective YouTube channel, and his extensive interviews with one LindaKula, God bless her heart, who swears she knows exactly who done it. A man known by her as Bill Ramsey, aka William Lawrence Rohn, who is said to be John Ramsey's illegitimate son that he fathered with a Philippine prostitute while he was stationed there at Subic Bay. But Melinda has known this man for many years, since 95 or 96. Back when she was a brunette, and says that she met and knew him via a karate school in New Jersey that her husband and son attended. But let's get right into this by hearing it straight from Melinda herself. As she explained it to AD, she says,
prior to the murder of JonBenet, this is so important. Before she was murdered, Bill attended a karate school right here in Ocean County, New Jersey. I live in Ocean County, New Jersey.
And to verify that her statement is true, she presents a copy of his original application to the karate school, which taking a closer look at tells us he joined August 15th of 1995, using the name William Ramsey, that he was born November 4th, but the year he says he'll never tell. And we'll come back to this application at the end of the episode. But getting back, Miss Kula says,
this karate school was attended by Bill and his 2 friends. The ransom note talks about my 2 friends have your daughter. That's number 1.
Unfortunately, she was kind enough to present us with their applications also, starting with Edward Keller, who was 21 at the time of the crime and joined the karate school 4 months before Bill Ramsey in April of 1995. But Melinda also provided us with the other friend, Terrence Knight's application, which states he was 39 at the time of the crime, joined the karate school 5 months after his friend Edward and 1 month after Bill Ramsey joined. In fact, he puts Bill Ramsey down as how he heard of the karate school. But getting back to Melinda's story, she states,
that $118,000, that's very important because it matches what John Ramsey's bonus was. And it was stated to everybody prior to Bill Ramsey ever leaving New Jersey. He stated it before any of this happened.
So how would this man in New Jersey going by the name Bill Ramsey know all this? Well, Melinda explains it when she states,
we do know that because the entire karate class heard it, that Bill Ramsey himself said he is the black sheep of the wealthy family in Boulder, Colorado. His father, John, gives him an inheritance. The amount changes every year, but it's Christmas Eve.
And with that, Melinda deems Bill Ramsey as the secret Santa JonBenet was supposed to get a visit from after Christmas. In fact, that is what she named her book on it, titled Secret Santa, My Murderer, the true JonBenet Ramsey completed puzzle. But getting back to Melinda's tale of this man going by the name Bill Ramsey, she states,
but Bill is so excited, which is very much out of character for him. He was excited because he expected that Christmas to inherit for that year $118,000. Now, he blurted that specific amount out to absolutely everybody in his adult karate class, which did include my husband.
So apparently her and her husband both heard this declaration of his supposed annual inheritance. However, Melinda also believes she can connect him to one of the murder weapons when she states,
a sword, a miniature sword, like that one, but was very ornate, was hanging on the karate school wall, but could be used because it was made in such a way as a defense weapon. If you just grabbed it off the wall and an intruder came in, you could certainly defend yourself, or you could split a child's head open. That disappeared. Bill Ramsey's application to the karate school disappeared, and then he went to visit his father to collect a $118,000, what he would call his inheritance for that year. Because each year was different, because bonuses are different.
So this all seems pretty logical and suspicious thus far, but she also observed unusual and suspicious activity by this man after the crime, which she tells the armchair detective about as such.
You, Alan, and all of your wonderful listeners know that there is a man named Bill Ramsey who changed his name to Larry Rohn, changed his appearance, hops from residence to residence to leave no paper trail. But more importantly, ask ourselves this: why, when he returned, did he take his black Ford Ranger pickup truck and turn it into the nice, beautiful color of blood red when he returned?
Big flag.
That's a red flag. Well, speaking of red flags, red truck. Okay, why? Because he thinks in his mind someone saw that truck in the area of Boulder, Colorado. And
Yes.
right? There would be no other reason.
Unless he had nothing to do with this crime and he just wanted a red truck. But I don't want to argue with Melinda right now. I would actually like to agree with what she says next. She says,
Again, this should not be an argument that takes time away from solving the case about, is Bill Ramsey actually John's son?
to which I agree we should not have to be taking time away from solving the case to determine if Bill Ramsey is actually John Ramsey's son. But I will allow her to finish her thought as she complains,
We don't know that because the Boulder, Colorado will not go and get the DNA. We have no way of knowing that.
However, that may not be necessary, and I believe I can also answer this part of the investigation without the need for DNA too. But first, let's get back into the interviews and see what Melinda can tell us about her top suspect, she says.
But that is Bill Ramsey as I met him, his police mugshot, Ocean County, New Jersey.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a mugshot of his from 1997 according to Melinda's videos. And while speaking of his age at the time, she states,
Bill Ramsey's current age of maybe 27 or 28 when I met him.
which corresponds with her next statement, where she tells us,
And what we need to do is let's go back to the beginning. So what is the beginning? The beginning that everybody really must remember, Alan, they must remember that John Ramsey was between March 1968 through November 1969, John Ramsey was assigned to the Navy Public Works Center at Subic Bay Training Center, according to the Bureau of Navy Personnel in Washington.
So John Ramsey is stated to have been living at the Subic Bay facility in the Philippines in 1968 and 1969. And her suspect, Bill Ramsey, is said to have been 27 or 28 at the time, which adds up. 1996 minus 28 years equals 1968. The year John Ramsey was in the Philippines. However, this is where my problem with this supposed Bill Ramsey comes into play. Starting with his North Carolina CDL license that Melinda likes to flaunt in her videos, which if you actually take a closer look at, states that he was actually born on November 4th, just like the application, but this says he was born in 1958, which is the same year that a young John Ramsey was a 14-year-old either freshman or sophomore in high school at Okemos in Michigan. As we also know, he was there in 1959 and in 1960. So considering John Ramsey is known to have been attending high school in Michigan from 1958 until 1960, I highly doubt that he went down to the Philippines and impregnated a prostitute at the age of 14 years old. Unless Melinda believes that in addition to having a training center, which there is absolutely no documented evidence of, the Subic Bay also had a time machine that allowed John to travel from when he was stationed there in 1968 and 69 to 1958 when William Rohn was actually born. I would say that John Ramsey is not the father of the supposed son, Bill Ramsey.
You are not the
Get out of my face!
And just to be on the safe side, I decided to figure out who his parents actually are. And fortunately, I did not have to look far, as on Bill Ramsey's karate school application, we see that towards the bottom of the form, he lists his emergency contact as his father, W.B. Rohn, from Southbury, Connecticut. And while I searched that location with the name William Rohn, assuming like father, like son, it came up with this Radaris.com webpage, which lists a William Rohn as an inventor with 3 U.S. patents. One from September of 2011 for a game invented combining football and golf putting. Another from September of 2009 to improve golf putting skills. And perhaps the most relevant, a device designed to help keep a car door open. which was filed in May of 1994, and puts a William B. Rohn in Southbury, Connecticut around the same time Bill Ramsey's application was filed. Knowing this, I take the search back to the internet, where I uncover this Republican American Obituaries webpage featuring an obituary for one William B. Rohn. And the obituary reads, William B. Rohn of Williamsburg, Virginia, husband of Nanci Harding Rohn, died May 10, 2013 at home. Mr. Rohn was born in Owensboro, Kentucky on May 12, 1927, son of the late Ross W. Rohn and Frances Barber Rohn. They tell us about his career and state. Since his retirement in 1983, he and his wife lived for 15 years in Heritage Village in Connecticut, where he was active in the bowling, bridge, and garden clubs, and was the president of the Concert Society. In 1998, they moved to Chambrel in Williamsburg. But how do we know that this is actually Bill Ramsey's biological father? Well, it states, besides his wife, he leaves two sons, William Lawrence Rohn, aka Melinda's Bill Ramsey, and Stuart Douglas Rohn, a brother Ross W. Rohn Jr., who has since also passed, a sister Frances Duran, and 3 grandchildren. So that accounts for William Rohn, aka Bill Ramsey's biological father. But in order to see if his mother was in fact a Philippine prostitute, let's look into his father's wife, Nanci K. Harding Rohn, who passed away on December 15, 2013, God rest her soul. But the obituary reads, Ms. Rohn was born in Long Island, New York on August 25, 1932, daughter of the late Edgar A. Harding and Cornelia B. Harding. They continue, she was a graduate of the Catherine Gibbs Secretarial School in New York City. She worked as a secretary and office manager for several businesses and as a legal secretary. She also did volunteer work for several community organizations. Unfortunately, they also state, at the age of 43, she suffered a ruptured aneurysm in the brain and was saved by a most unique operation for the time. With years of help from family and friends, she returned to almost normal functioning. While living in Illinois, she assisted in the rehabilitation of other stroke patients at the Marion Joy Rehabilitation Center. And in case you are doubtful, this is Bill Ramsey's actual biological mother. The obituary is kind enough to add, she is survived by her 2 sons, William Lawrence Rohn, aka Bill Ramsey, and Stuart Douglas Rohn, and 3 grandchildren. Now hopefully, once and for all, we can put the question of whether Bill Ramsey was the illegitimate son of John Ramsey to rest. And although there is much more to speak of regarding some of LindaKula's other preposterous claims, we will have to do that in a future episode. But for now, I will conclude this episode of JonBenet's Web Truths. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates. So we'll see you on the next episode, because you won't want to miss this.